Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you may be wondering what the heck is going on. Well, let me tell you, I am on a ship. We are at port, but we are at sea, as they say, and so the mic is probably going to be a little wonky. There will probably be extraneous sounds, and I will apologize for that in advance. But stay with me. Let's have some fun together. I hope this will be fun, and it will be interesting for all of us. But first, I'd like to say thank you. I'd like to say thank you for all of you who do all of those things, for hitting the thumbs up button, for subscribing to the channel. You are a blessing. You help others to find our channel by those actions, and we grow because of you. And for that, thank you very much. And for those of you who comment, also, thank you, because I love hearing from you. And you also help other people engage with us, and that is a beautiful thing. So friends, the next thing I'd like to do is to let you know that this is a scripted video. It is one of the only truly scripted videos on this channel. The reason I have written this out and I'm reading it is that this is not an easy topic, yeah? Which you could probably sense from the title of the video. And I don't want to make any faux pas. I don't want to make any mistakes. I don't want to be confusing or accidentally say things that could be easily misunderstood. So I've got this all written out right here in front of me. So please understand that and the reasoning for it. This is the first of a series of videos on my channel in which I'm going to try to explain the direction I am moving in for my own tarot practice. I've decided to make some changes in the way I read the cards. And I thought I'd introduce the associations that I have discovered. If you are a repeat visitor here, you have heard me hint at the possibility that I would do this series, haven't you? Well, the time has come. So let's begin this series with an introduction video. Yes? And let's begin with the title. Why did I name this video the way that I did? The first part of the title is the title for the series describes the work I'm doing with the tarot. And I'm sorry, yes, the camera might also be bumped from time to time. But I'm sorry, this really is not my normal setup. Again, the first part of the video, the first part of the title of this series describes the work I'm doing with the tarot. I'm walking the lines of origins to deeper strata. What does that mean? I'm trying to move down the layers of ideas that have collected onto the tarot as a tool for divination. What we call tarot, especially when we acknowledge that it is a tool to reveal symbols and carry esoteric information, is an artifact that has had systems of thought and interpretation layered upon it over the centuries. There is not one single coherent system either. Thinkers, scholars, and mystics have come along, and each one has added something to the art that is tarot. What I'm attempting to do is not to create a new system of meanings and show off how clever I am. Rather, I'm attempting to peel back the symbolic palimpsest. I'm trying to excavate what lies beneath the accumulated overlays. What I'm attempting is an archaeological work rather than a reinterpreted one. I'm trying to reconstruct a structural framework rather than shifting a perspective. And above all, my process is an inquiry. I'm asking questions, not attempting an authoritative proclamation of truth. I'm not trying to tell everyone that this is the once and for all final and right way to read the cards. I'm not doing any of that. What I see in tarot is, as I've already touched on, a symbolic palimpsest. Each card is a surface that has been repeatedly written over, adding symbol, association, and reassociation. Even with the insurmountable decks created by perhaps thousands of artists and designers over the centuries, we still recognize one fundamentally shared tarot, right? 78 cards divided into a major arcana of 22 and a minor arcana of 4 suits, each with 10 numbered cards and 4 court cards. Those are the basics. Can we agree on that? Yes, okay, certainly. There are decks that are called tarot that diverge from that slightly. A 5th element suit might be added. One of the courts might be dropped from each suit. But I think most of us can agree on the basic structure, and there are stages to how interpretation has evolved. After Europeans encountered card traditions that had developed in the Islamic world, including the Mamluk cards of Egypt, Italian card makers began adding a distinct set of triumph cards based on a medieval cosmology. As tarot developed in Europe, Renaissance humanism shaped both the ordering of the cards and the symbolic language of the major arcana. Strong Christian influences, particularly Catholic ones in Italy and France and Spain, also framed the virtues, figures, and moral ideas expressed in the early decks. In fact, the added major arcana and the reconstructed court cards in particular emerged quite quickly from the cultural currents of the transition between the late medieval and early Renaissance periods in Europe. It was, in fact, their addition that made them into tarocchi or later tarot decks. In the 18th century, writers such as Courtegablin and Etea were among the first to publish works pointing to the divinatory potential of the cards. Many of us have not only heard, but also possess copies of restored and reproduced tarot decks attributed to Etea, with keywords helpfully scrawled around the sides of the cards. Do you have one of those beautiful decks? Later in the mid-19th century, we see Hermetic and Neoplatonic layers of esotericism articulated much more explicitly by figures such as Eliphas Levi and others working in the same milieu. Yeah? Neoplatonism in the 19th century saw a resurgence driven by new scholarly understandings. The term Neoplatonism itself was coined then, and a renewed interest in ancient texts and esoteric traditions emphasized unity, the divine, and the soul's ascent beyond the material world. 19th century Hermeticism saw a major revival shifting from ancient wisdom to modern occultism, synthesizing Kabbalah, alchemy, astrology, and Neoplatonism into magical systems for spiritual development. Eliphas Levi and his compatriots were the first to codify in writing an overtly esoteric understanding of tarot and to explore how the cards might reveal or transmit universal metaphysical principles. Universal metaphysical principles. Subsequent thinkers expanded on these ideas. Pappus and Oswald Wirth, to name just two, added their own interpretations to how tarot symbolism was understood and encoded. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which trained both Aleister Crowley and Arthur Edward Waite, creators of the two most influential tarot systems in the English-speaking world, introduced yet another layer of associations, correspondences, and reorganization. In the modern period, psychological and spiritual approaches have added still more perspectives, symbols, and narratives to the cards. For me, This has made tarot extremely dense. I'm not saying that any of these layers are wrong, misguided, or poorly conceived. What I am saying is that they are not all foundational. They are not, and do not need to be, right for everyone. My aim is to look beneath the layers of interpretation and try to find a structural logic for myself that remains as we dig deeper and strip back the layers of overlay. Yes, as we walk the path to deeper strata, as we strip back the palimpsest, How does that sound to you? I'm not rejecting the newer traditions flowing from the Golden Dawn, for example, because I'm a contrarian. Let me say that again, because that did sound wrong. Yes, I'm not rejecting the newer traditions flowing from the Golden Dawn, for example, because I am a contrarian, though that is something my grandmother called me. I'm not inventing my own personal oracle deck either. And I'm definitely not claiming any historical purity. I don't think there is a historical origin that we can point to and say, yes, this is the one. All of that is clouded by time and diversity of use. Really, what I'm trying to do is discover for myself, with the help of actual authorities and some original texts, a system that reads well in the present age while pointing back to antique, if not ancient systems of thought. Mind you, I'm not trying to say that I've found the Rosetta Stone linking the cards to ancient Egypt. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm trying to walk the tarot back to what is an older and I think purer system that transmits and calculates with more ancient archetypal symbol and wisdom. Does that make sense? I began this leg of my tarot journey with studying the Tarot of the Holy Light, created by Christine Payne-Towler. With her guidance, I started looking back at Eliphas Levi, Pappas, Eudes Picard, and others. I looked at both the continental tarots and the so-called Egyptian tarots, working backward from C.C. Zane and the Brotherhood of Light. What I've decided for myself is that while Eliphas Levi was the first to write this all down, I do not believe he was creating in a bubble. I think there are implicit lines of mysticism, esotericism, and archetype which were being woven together with the cards. And I am trying to move closer to the source while acknowledging there is no one definitive origin story. I want to emphasize that. I do not believe that there is one definitive origin story. Therefore, I'm looking to discover a system that, for me, has internal coherence. It must fit together in a way that makes sense with the earliest traditions I can find, more than the way I want it to be. Yes? I'm not trying to fit the old into the way I think it should be. I'm trying to unpack the sources that I can find, the oldest sources that I can find, relate them to tarot, and see how they express themselves within the system of tarot. For me, and for now, the structure of the system is more important than the story it tells. Rather than trying to get the cards to fit a narrative that I want them to tell, I'm trying to let the structures that I find reveal meaning. I want them to tell, the meaning. I'm really trying to let the system that I find explain themselves. I'm asking, what happens when I try to remove the interpretations I have inherited, and what I will find if I do? Tarot lends itself to systematic work because it is modular. Have you ever thought of that before? We describe it by its parts of majors, minors, suits, numbers, and quarts. It is repetitive within its own form. 4 sets of 10 and 4 sets of kinds of people in the minor arcana, for example. Repetitions can also be found within the major arcana. The cards are also numerically and symbolically patterned in such a way that they align well with the Jewish Kabbalah and Pythagorean mysticism, to mention just 2 of the most obvious. And as we explore this emergent system, we can experiment and test the coherence of the system. We can isolate and test the validity of the mechanics. We can dissect the function and then reassemble it to explore a revived narrative or story. And I'm strongly emphasizing that the Tarot is teaching us its structure as we listen closely to the voice buried within, buried beneath the multiple layers, the multiple palimpsests. The system that I am discovering afresh is based on astrology, Hebrew letter, the Elder Futhark from runes, and number. Astrology here is being used as a grammar of relating information and symbol rather than a predictive or analytical tool of understanding person, place, or event. Have you ever had your natal chart read? The way I'm using astrology for the cards is different from the way an astrologer will draw up a natal or birth chart. It's not being used to predict when the best time to buy your house will be. At least not the way I'm working with it in these videos. The astrological components that are considered are elements, modalities of signs, the 7 heavenly lights or wandering stars, planets, and dignities. When I first tried to understand this, I thought I was layering astrology on top of the Tarot, and it was confusing. I now realize that it is a way to speak about relationships that are already present in the Tarot. I've discovered that there can be a relatively easy consistency across the deck once it is understood. Structure reveals itself and isn't necessarily imposed. And perhaps, above all, when I'm doing my best, the cards are allowed to ask questions rather than make pronouncements. Does that sound exciting to you? If it does, this series and exploration will be very helpful to you. For the videos, I'm going to divide the major arcana into 3 groups of mostly 7. This is a fairly common way to separate the majors. We can think of the first group of the magician, number 1 to number 7 with the chariot, as the societal group, which point to the formation of our personhood and our capacities in the world. What are our powers and potentials? The next set of 7, beginning with justice, which was traditionally card number 8, to temperance at 14, we can see the more psychospiritual aspects of regulation, balance, and integration. Finally, we will start with the devil at 15 and go through the world at 21. The unnumbered fool, remember, the fool was not originally given the number 0, will be considered in the 3rd video, placed between judgment and the world, as neither card 0 nor card 22. The video, however, will focus on process. Not the video, but the videos will focus on process, not allegory, such as the Fool's Journey. We will look at the cards as functions rather than characters in these videos. Remember, I'm not suggesting that the Fool's Journey or that seeing characters in the cards and unpacking how they present themselves is either wrong or unnecessary. I'm merely focusing on a reclaimed structure that we can benefit from examining. In the videos for the minor arcana, there will be 4, one for each suit. That makes sense, doesn't it? Though there are 4 separate videos for presentation purposes, the entire set is a complete operational engine, like a computer, which Christine Payne-Towler repeatedly taught me, and which I'm beginning to understand. This is a computational system that crunches number and symbol concurrently, and it is not lesser than the major arcana, which is something that I have increasingly understood over the last 10 years or more. In these videos, we will examine the suits as elements as related to the zodiacal wheel. We will see the numbers as phases of the progression of decans. We will see the numbers as though the numbers 1 through 9 associated to the zodiacal wheel, though differently from the tarot of the Holy Light. And the 10s will be the culmination of the group. The 10s will represent the elemental fullness, hovering at the threshold of the next series. This is somewhat in line with the way I learned Tarot de Marseille, as well as the Tarot of the Holy Light, as well as the Egyptian tarots. This is, of course, different from the aces as seeds or roots of power of the suit interpretation which was promoted by the Golden Dawn. I will also attempt to show how each card can be allowed to ask questions. Now, I've often heard how challenging and confusing the court cards are. How do you feel about them? I'm not promising that I can rectify this dilemma, but I hope I can help. We will look at an organized system of zodiacal associations to the cards that I have yearned for in my study of many decks. We will approach them as modes of agency. What is their role rather than their personalities? We will approach them we will approach them as modes of while they are certainly people, and they can be people. We will consider them as types primarily. I'm discussing them after the rest of the minors because, in a sense, they emerge from the minors as the actors in the environments of the suits. They emerge from the system of associations, not parallel to it. What do you think? Does this sound intriguing to you? This series is really for people who are comfortable with uncertainty and inquiry. I'm not ready to give a definitive statement that this is how the system is now and forever. It is a work in progress, and may always be. Students of Tarot who are interested in coherence and structure will be interested in these videos. And if by chance you feel constrained by meanings you have inherited, this might just be a refreshing breeze. On the other hand, if you like quick divinatory reads or readings based entirely on intuition or aesthetic interpretation, this might not be your cup of tea. If you are strongly attracted to the teachings of the Golden Dawn or any of the more modern Golden Dawn-based teachers, many of which I highly esteem, this is probably not the series for you. This is a video series that is attempting to invite you to reconsider possibilities and appreciate a different approach. If you want to continue with the series, I would encourage you to watch slowly. I hope you enjoy learning and try it out on your own in your own practice. I'm open to disagreement and welcome respectful discussions. Please remember that I am not placing myself among the ranks of the Christine Payne-Towlers, the Rachel Pollocks, the Mary Greers, the Benabel Wens, or the Caitlin Matthewses. I'm trying to figure this out. That's all I'm doing. I'm trying to figure this out. As you watch, keeping notes is helpful. And going back to revisit earlier videos as you watch will help as well. And remember that this is a series of videos that will hopefully build upon themselves. The series will have a final video, but my exploration is unfinished and unfolding. I'm intentionally recording these videos now, though the discovery process is unfinished, because if I stubbornly waited until it was finished, the videos would never be made. I hope that you can enjoy these videos knowing that I am approaching the study of Tarot in a careful and cautious manner. I am respectful of all traditions, while at the same time, I'm uncovering a method that is more satisfying to me. And maybe it will be a little satisfying to you as well. It might add a layer of meaning or interpretation to the way you're already reading the cards. I'm not making anyone else wrong, but I'm trying to make myself, and maybe you, more satisfied. As I question the inherited symbols to see what remains when the layers of the patina have been gently peeled back from the tarot, I invite you to walk the lines of origins to deeper strata with me. Will you join me? I hope you will. Thank you. And now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.